everyone. How you doing? I want to talk about boxing, the sad state of boxing these days.
I'm not what you would call a boxing enthusiast or a person who's crazy about boxing. I catch fights when I can, when I can. I watch Ultimate Fighting when I can. Sometimes I'm looking for it, sometimes I come across it or whatnot. But it seems to me like the boxing is in a terrible state of decline these days. The boxers are not quite as good as they used to be. There's not as many Sugar Ray Leonards or Marvin Haglers or Muhammad Ali's or Joe Frazier's. They're not quite as great, but they're good. There are really good fighters out there. I'm not going to get the name in them, so I probably would do pretty badly at it anyway. My memory is not the best in the world. But there's a lot of decent fighters out there. Floyd Mayweather is okay, but he kind of avoids the tougher fights, but he's a good boxer, and there's many others. But boxing has a serious problem these days. And the problem to me is the judging. The judging is just atrocious. Back in the old days, it seemed like every once in a while a fight would be judged wrong, or it would, the judges would get it wrong, have the wrong guy winning, maybe because the guy was from their country or their state, or they just liked the other fighter better or whatever. They didn't like a particular way that one of them fought as opposed to the other. They didn't like the fact that one guy ran during a lot of the fight, even though he still landed more punches and really beat the other guy. They'll give it to the other fighter anyway. So it used to be like that would happen occasionally, but I've noticed that lately it happens a lot. I mean, almost every time you sit down and watch a fight, and I won't, well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but a lot of times when you sit down and watch a fight, you don't know who's going to win. The guy may have beat the guy from pillar to post for 12 rounds, and he still might lose because the judges are just atrocious. I mean, the judges, I don't know if they're being bribed or they're being paid off or they just can't see, or they're demented or crazy or stupid, or I don't know what's the deal with them. But I know that they're getting a lot of times they're getting it wrong. And a lot of times it seems like the referees, they're right in the middle of the ring, they're right there, but they either don't see or don't want to see, or they're being bribed or whatever, just like the judge. Or they got their preferences or whatever, but they'll be right there in the ring and won't see something like a guy was headbutted and cut. They won't see that. They'll think that the guy was hit with a punch and cut. And then they'll do something like the other guy can't fight anymore. He can't see out of one eye because he just got headbutted. They'll get a fight to the other guy when they should have just called it a no contest or just, made the fight null and void. The referee should have, just didn't do the right thing. And it's just been fight after fight where the judges have been terrible, biased or whatever the problem is. The referees haven't been able to see the forest for the trees, or just deliberately was just favoring one fighter over the other. Always in the chest of the one fighter saying, get off him, penalizing one guy for doing something illegal, but letting the other guy go free, taking a point on the first offense, just doing all kind of crazy stuff. And to me, what they need to do to fix the sport of boxing is to take more power away from the referees. They need to give them less authority, less calls. I mean, they can still, break the fighters up and make sure they follow the rules, but they shouldn't have as much of an impact as they have on who wins and who loses a fight, in my opinion. And they need to get rid of the judging panel, just all together. So who am I saying should judge the fight? I think the commentators should judge the fights. The commentators are always dead on right. I've noticed that about them. If whatever they say, I always agree with. I mean, if they say this guy hit the other guy more times, they'll show the punch stats. They'll say, well, no, that's not how it happened. This guy was hit. But the commentators are always dead on accurate. So why shouldn't they be the ones doing the judging? I think they should. I think if the commentators were doing the judging, the sport of boxing would return back to fairness again. The commentators are never, or hardly ever, are never biased. They don't like one fighter over another. They're not racist. They don't see race. They don't regard it. They're not nationalistic. They won't make a guy win just because he's from their country. I mean, the commentators are just spectacular judges of fights. So I think they should judge the fights, or at the very least, be part of the judging panel. Maybe the judging panel has a say in it, but the judges, their opinion is weighted even more than so. But at any rate, I think that commentators either need to be doing the judging or be involved in the judging, because I think if they were, there would be a lot less unfairness in boxing. There would be a lot more boxers who should have won winning the fights, and that might help revitalize the sport. Because I'm telling you, back in the day, you wouldn't have a hard time finding somebody to talk to about boxing. Now, especially in the black community, I get on the bus or I'll be talking to people, church members or whatever. They don't have the slightest idea what I'm talking about. They're not into boxing. Nobody's into boxing. If somebody's into boxing, I don't know who they are. They're not in my circle of people I know. So I think that in order to help revitalize the sport of boxing, they need to do something about the judges. Maybe they need to let the commentators do it. I think it'll be a lot more fair. As far as fighters are not dominating the sport as much as they used to, so that might be part of the reason that boxing has kind of declined in popularity in the black community, at least from what I can see. Maybe I'm wrong, you let me know. But I think in general, if you see one fight where there's crazy judging, or a lot of fights where the judging is crazy, I can see how that can turn people off. I can see how that can keep people from even getting into the sport or just saying forget it. But the thing about Ultimate Fighting is, the judging in Ultimate Fighting is awesome. So to me that's the next big thing. But if boxing want to have a chance of ever making a comeback, of ever being as popular as it used to be, they got to fix the judging. So that's all I got to say. I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. So take care and God bless. I love y'all. Bye-bye.